Alright, so here we are, we're back. Wax is all melted down. I've decided to unwrap one of the wax candles. Took the label off the bottom, peeled that off, so all I have is the set for the wick. Sometimes you can get hold of the wick, like this time. Get hold of it and just pull it out. If you can do that, that's what I suggest. If not, you can just set it in and let it melt, and it'll eventually, you can pull it out. So, I'm going to let this melt down. Shouldn't take too long. Got good heat going here. Let this melt down for us. To make it faster, you can actually break this apart and it'll speed up the meltdown process, but it shouldn't take too terribly long anyway. Okay. And while that's melting, I'm going to go ahead and start a couple of these wafers. I just drop them in. You can see them kind of sizzle there. Push them under, let them get good soaking. I'll flip them over. Make sure they're saturated on both sides. Pick them up. And I drain off some of the excess here. I don't want them like dripping wet. And I just move them over to my parchment paper and let them cool. Do that again. Flip it over. And this is why I use the meat fork, so I can actually get hold of it and drag it around like I want to. Cool it off here. Drain off as much of just the loose runny wax as I can. No reason to waste it. The more it runs off of here, it's just going to stick to your paper and you have to try and peel it off later, so might as well just drain it out now. Soak that, let it absorb. Again, I have not used any other accelerants. I haven't pre-soaked. I have not pre-soaked the pads. I'm taking them right out of the package, putting them into the wax, letting it absorb, draining off the loose. And moving it over to cool. And that's really all there is to it. So I'm going to do this one and this last one in my hand, and then I'll come back and I will re-soak the ones that I did before. So you can see that, again, really simple. Not a lot to it, just a matter of doing it. You got a little bit of initial cost in the pot you're going to use for your wax. And again, don't buy anything expensive. Don't use anything nice. Go to the thrift store. I picked up this cast iron pot and this cast iron skillet, which I use to set my tools on. And I have one other piece that I got with it. I picked all of that up at a garage sale. I think it was $7.50 or $8 for all three pieces. This pot came with a lid, which we took off at the beginning. So, and that's all I use them for. They're made in China, so I wouldn't use them to cook food in personally, but they're really great for doing this kind of stuff, and nobody's going to yell at me because they're not my wife's good stuff. The pot I showed you that I use for melting the glass candles down in, this pot, that is an old pot that was one of our good pieces, and when I replaced that cookware for my wife, she was getting rid of that piece, and instead of just getting rid of it, it is warped. And so instead of getting rid of it, I brought it out and I said I'll just use it to do this kind of stuff. So we're good there. You can see this is about 2/3 melted here. See that nugget? Almost done there. This is the loose scrapings from previous runs here. I'm just dropping them in and melting them back. No reason to waste any of the wax. And again, just on the cookie sheet on a piece of parchment paper, letting those cool off. I've got them set off to the side so that it stays cool. It's not right up near the heat. Doing that, I'll do a couple more of these. Those aren't hardened enough yet to re-soak, so I'll just keep going here. This is my little wax lifesaver now. It's down to almost nothing. See if I can grab it here. There you go. Really not a whole lot left. Get a couple more here. Turn them over. Drain them down. And again, it's not about being perfect. It's about being practical and affordable. And you can do this in your kitchen. I say if you're going to do that, make sure you put some wax paper or something, not wax paper, parchment paper or something down, aluminum foil, anything, so that if you drip, you're not dripping all of the wax across your counter. No reason to upset a spouse over it. And again, another reason I use the unscented candles is I don't want to make it really stinky or smelly. One, for when I'm in the woods, and two, my wife doesn't always like things that I like, so I just kind of keep it simple. Go. Saturated. These are great. You can make these, half an hour. Make a whole pack of these things for $4, $5, not even that. And it'll last you probably a whole season. I use mine over and over and over. At home when I have the fire pit going, I use these to light them pretty regularly. Keep them in all my fire kits. You saw that in my video a couple weeks ago. I just love them. They're cheap, they're easy, they're effective. Are they fat rope stick? No. Are they $8 a stick? No. So, not everybody can afford to go out and buy fat rope stick. It's great stuff. I love it. I keep it in all of my fire kits as well. Sometimes you just can't afford to do that, and so I like to have options. There are times that I don't want to use my fat rope stick. In fact, my fat rope stick tends to be my very last option for starting a fire, because I know it's my best fire starter. It's my best easy tinder, waterproof easy tinder. I can take that entire thing of fat rope stick and submerge it under water for hours, pull it out, shave off a little bit, fluff it up, and light it, and it will light. I know that's truth. I know I can do that. So it has become my last ditch. It's in every fire kit. I go fat wood first, then one of these, then that. If I can't get one of these to stay lit, then I go to the fat rope stick. But I love these. They're cheap. They're easy. You can make them at home. You can make them as you need them. What you have in this pot is leftover. After a full batch, I melted down 3 of the candles in the glass jar. That's what's in here. I made a batch of these, which is a full one of these, a full sleeve of these. The wax that was in here when we started was the wax that was left from doing that. I added another candle just so I could show you how easy it was to just melt that down and get that prepped and ready to go. But again, you know, this will last a long time. 5 candles cost $5. 5 sleeves of this cost $5. For $10, you could have 800. There's 80 of these in a sleeve. You could have 800 of these fire starters for $10. And using a quarter at a time, let's just say that's all you ever had to use was a quarter of a wafer at a time. You didn't need to use a half. A quarter of a wafer at a time is 3,200 fires you could start. If you used a half every time, 1,600 fires you could start. If you used a whole one every time, 800 fires in horrible conditions. So they're very economical, they're very easy to make, and I love them. They're great. So this is now, it's not hard, but it's cool to the touch. It's a little bit pliable, but it's getting solid on me now. It's been sitting on the cooling rack here. These have been cooling. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna dunk one of these in just so you can see it. I'm gonna take it, put it in the tongs, right? Drop it in. It's gonna sink to the bottom because it's already been coated. I'm gonna pull it out, drain off the excess, right? Drop it back on the cooling tray. It's that simple, guys. It is that simple. You can do this all day long, every weekend. Heck, I make fires in the fire pit all the time, and I give these things away. I sell them at flea markets. I sell them at craft fairs. You know, they're great. They're great. Hit me up with any questions down below, and look forward to hearing your feedback, guys. I'd like to see you guys make them. I'd like to hear how you do with them. Have a great one, Wolfpack. Talk to you later.